a Nigerian governor looked kidnappers in the face and said, "Go ahead and kill my brothers. I am not paying a single naira." And they didn't pay. And his brothers came home. This is today's briefcase. Let's open it. His name is Dauda Lawal. He is the governor of Zamfara State, the state that has seen more banditry, more kidnapping, and more bloodshed than almost any other state in Nigeria over the last decade. And on Thursday, July 9, 2026, at the Arise News and Tuesday Town Hall Conference in Abuja, he stood up at a microphone and said something that stopped the entire room. He said, "My own brothers were kidnapped in 2019. The criminals demanded 300 million naira as ransom. And I told them, I am not going to pay a dime. If you like, go ahead and kill them. 300 million naira. His own blood. His own family." And he said, "No. Now before we talk about whether he was right or wrong, and we will absolutely talk about that, let us understand the full picture of what happened. His brothers were held in captivity for 3 months. 3 months of uncertainty. 3 months of his family not knowing whether their loved ones were alive or dead. 3 months of pressure from the kidnappers, from his own emotions, from everyone around him who must have been begging him to just pay and bring them home. And at the end of those 3 months, without a single naira changing hands, the kidnappers released his brothers. They came home alive. Now let us talk about why Governor Dauda Lawal told that story publicly in Abuja this week. If kidnappers realize they cannot get money from families or from governments, they will be discouraged from engaging in this crime. And he ended with a declaration that left no room for ambiguity. He said, "I will not negotiate, and I will not pay ransom to any criminal, no matter what happens." Now let us be honest, because this is where the conversation gets complicated. And every Nigerian watching this must sit with the discomfort of what I am about to say. Governor Lawal's logic is economically correct. Every security expert, every criminologist, every international body that has studied kidnapping for ransom says the same thing: paying ransom funds the next kidnapping. When you pay, you validate the business model. You prove that kidnapping works. And you guarantee that kidnappers will go back to their forest, buy more weapons, recruit more members, and take more people. The money you pay to free your child today funds the kidnapping of someone else's child tomorrow. That is the theory. And it is correct. But here is where every Nigerian parent, every sibling, every person who has ever loved another human being must ask themselves an honest question. If it were your child in that bush right now, if it were your mother, if it were your husband or your wife or your best friend, and someone called you and said, "Bring 300 million naira, or we will kill them," what would you do? Would you hold firm on principle? Or would you sell everything you own, borrow from everyone you know, and find that money? Most Nigerians would find that money. And that is not weakness. That is love. And in Zamfara alone, the business has been working for years. Zamfara has been one of the epicenters of banditry and kidnapping in this country. It is the state where entire communities have been displaced, where farmers cannot go to their own lands without risking their lives, where children cannot go to school without their parents spending the whole day in fear. Governor Lawal knows this reality better than most. He does not just talk about insecurity in a conference hall. He lives with it. His state bleeds with it. And he has put his money where his mouth is, literally. He disclosed at the conference that the Zamfara state government currently funds more than 30% of all security operations in the state. Over the past 3 years, his administration has procured more than 500 operational vehicles for security agencies. He has just added 35 armored personnel carriers and mine-resistant ambush-protected vehicles, the kind of vehicles that can withstand an ambush in the most dangerous terrain. And he has deployed both surveillance drones and attack drones to support security forces in the field. This is not a governor who is just talking. This is a governor who has invested massively in the military response to banditry, while refusing to fund it through ransom payments. And he is using his personal story, his brothers, his family, his private pain, to make the case for a bigger structural solution. State police. And when security decisions are made in Abuja for a crisis that is happening in the forest of Zamfara, the response is always too slow, always too far, and always too late. State police, in his argument, would change that. It would give governors the ability to respond to local threats with local intelligence, in real time. It would mean that a kidnapping that happens in safe local government area of Zamfara can be responded to immediately, by people who know that terrain, who speak the local language, who understand the local criminal networks, instead of waiting for orders to come from a force headquarters in Abuja. That is the argument he made in Abuja this week. And it is a powerful one. Every governor who has ever been frustrated by the gap between their responsibility for security and their actual power over security understands exactly what he is saying. But here is the question that nobody at that conference asked, and that every Nigerian deserves an honest answer to. If state police had existed in 2019, would Governor Lawal's brothers have been kidnapped in the first place? If Zamfara had its own police command, fully funded and equipped, with local intelligence and the ability to respond in real time, would the bandits who took his brothers have been able to operate so freely? And if they were kidnapped anyway, would state police have been able to rescue them faster, without the governor having to stand at a podium 7 years later and tell the story of a choice no human being should ever have to make? That is the real conversation behind this story. Governor Dauda Lawal made the hardest choice a man can make. And his brothers came home. But not every family is that lucky. And not every kidnapper releases without payment. There are families all over Nigeria right now, in Zamfara, in Kaduna, in Sokoto, in Naija, in Borno, in Oyo, who paid everything they had and are still waiting for someone who never came back. Those families deserve more than a principle. They deserve a government that makes kidnapping impossible, not just a government that refuses to reward it after the fact. Naija News Briefcase will be following the state police debate and the security situation across Nigeria as we approach 2027. Hit subscribe. Drop your comment below. If it were your family in that bush, would you pay the ransom or hold firm? I will see you in the next one.